The second someone asks if you're in or out, your brain locks into binary mode. That instant decision to see only two options just eliminated every other path that could actually work. You don't notice it happening. Your brain takes a complex situation with dozens of possibilities and squeezes it down to A or B, stay or leave, speak up or stay silent, all in or completely out. The middle ground vanishes. The creative solutions disappear. You're convinced these are your only choices, so you agonize between two bad options while better answers sit right outside your mental frame. This happens in career decisions, relationship conflicts, and every time you feel trapped by a choice that doesn't feel right. You're not actually stuck between two options. You're stuck in a thinking pattern that only shows you, and that pattern is running your life more than you realize. This is called the false dilemma, also known as black and white thinking. Psychologists have studied this pattern for over 60 years and found it underlies most bad decisions. Your brain loves simplicity. Two options are easy to compare, easy to weigh, easy to choose between. But reality doesn't come in pairs. It comes in spectrums. Your brain is reducing infinite possibility down to a binary choice, because that's faster and feels safer. The problem is you're not choosing between real options. You're choosing between the only two options your brain decided to show you. Think about how our ancestors survived. Quick decisions kept them alive. Run or fight. Eat this or starve. There wasn't time for nuance. So your brain evolved to compress complexity into simple either-or choices. That reflex saved lives when a predator appeared. But now you're using that same system to navigate careers, relationships, and life decisions that need depth, not speed. Your brain thinks it's protecting you with clarity. It's actually trapping you with oversimplification. Look at how this plays out when you're unhappy at your job. Your brain presents two options: stay and be miserable, or quit and risk everything. So you bounce between those two for months. You imagine staying and feel stuck. You imagine quitting and feel terrified. Neither feels right because neither is right. But your brain won't show you option 3, negotiate better terms. Option 4, transfer departments. Option 5, start a side project while keeping the income. Those exist. Your brain just filtered them out. Or your partner does something that upsets you. Your mind goes binary. Either confront them and start a huge fight, or say nothing and let it build into resentment. You sit there stuck between exploding or imploding. Meanwhile, there's option 3. Have a calm conversation tomorrow when you're less reactive. Option 4. Write down what you're feeling first to get clear. Option 5. Ask them if they noticed anything seemed off, and see what they say. But your brain is screaming, it's now or never. Speak or silence. All or nothing. And here's what nobody tells you about this. The more stressed you are, the more your brain defaults to binary thinking. You're overwhelmed at work. Your brain can't process complexity. So it simplifies. 2 choices. Maximum. You're anxious about a decision. Your brain wants to reduce the anxiety fast, so it narrows your options. You feel pressure to choose quickly. Your brain goes into survival mode. Binary thinking takes over. The very situations where you most need creative options are when your brain is most likely to hide them. You're not just dealing with false dilemmas. You're dealing with stress that creates them, which creates more stress, which creates more false dilemmas. The cycle feeds itself. Your brain is running 10,000-year-old software on today's problems. Most people think this is about being indecisive, so they try to just pick one and commit. They force themselves to choose A or B. But that S, like choosing between 2 wrong addresses, because those are the only 2 your GPS is showing you. The real issue isn't that you can't decide between the 2 options, it's that you accepted those as your only 2 options. You're solving the wrong problem. The binary frame is the trap, not the choice itself. This bias survives because it feels like clear thinking. You've narrowed it down to 2 options. That feels decisive, productive. Like you're making progress, Plus, admitting you're restuck in false dilemma thinking means admitting you might have been missing obvious solutions for months or years. It means every either-or decision you agonized over probably had a third path you never saw. And if you stopped thinking this way, you'd have to slow down. You'd have to sit with complexity. You'd have to consider options that don't feel immediately obvious. Your brain would rather keep the binary simplicity than face that kind of mental work. But here's where it gets interesting. People who break out of this pattern don't have better options. They ask better questions. You're stuck thinking, stay or leave. They're asking, what would staying look like if I changed 3 specific things? What would leaving look like if I had 6 months of runway? What does neither staying nor leaving look like? You're comparing A versus B. They're asking what's true that makes this feel like only 2 choices. The difference isn't options. It's the question that generates options. They've learned to catch the binary frame before it locks in. They notice when their brain is compressing reality into 2 boxes, and they pause. They don't try to decide better between A and B. They challenge whether A and B are the real question. So the next time someone asks if you re-in or out and your brain immediately locks into that binary choice, you'll know what's really happening. Your brain is compressing a complex decision into 2 options because that feels manageable. But manageable isn't the same as accurate. You're not actually limited to 2 choices. You're limited by thinking in 2s. Now you can catch it. You can ask what option 3 might be, what option 7 might be, what the question would be if this wasn't binary. You're not trying to pick between A and B anymore. You're noticing when A and B are the only things your brain is willing to show you. That awareness creates space. And in that space, the real options appear. You started this video feeling trapped between choices that both felt wrong. Now you know you were never trapped by the options. You were trapped by the frame. That's not a small shift. That's seeing the cage you didn't know you were in. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one.